Welcome back to the Bionicle Inspiration Series. We like to inspire you on this show, showcasing Bionicle mocks from the community to give you some ideas and get you building. Today we're going to look at a lot of mocks that have some really cool head designs, whether that's an interesting custom head design or just using pieces or existing masks or non-existing masks in some interesting ways. So let's dive in. The first mock we've got today is Zarya, and it's built by Stuyano. So if you're not familiar with them, Zarya is a character who appeared in the Bionicle Yesterday Quest story. They are actually a canon character within the Bionicle story, but it's a character that doesn't have any image yet to represent them. Now, I've spoken about a few other people's interpretations of what Zarya could look like on the show before, and honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a bad interpretation of this character. Dark orange and gunmetal, it slaps. And most people tend to build this character to be rather big and bulky, like a real powerhouse, you know? And all of that is just a really good recipe for a really cool looking mock, so you kind of can't go wrong if you're going to build Zarya. Now, on Stuyano's version here, they're continuing the tradition of incredible versions of this character. Because, first off, a giant spanner as a weapon? Yes please, that's fantastic. Plus, this is a very well-made spanner, super accurate to a real one, and it's just been very well replicated with Lego bricks. So yeah, the weapon, and I think other parts of this mock, they really tie into the fact that this character is meant to be a TOA of iron. Stuff like the chest design, using these large wheel pieces and angling them a little bit, plus the little flames in the center there. It looks like the inside of some kind of furnace, or an engine, or other metal machinery. And look, if that doesn't tie back to the iron elemental power of this character, I don't know what does. That's just very creative. So look, if you're making a TOA, Google things that relate to the element of that TOA, and see if you can subtly integrate them into the larger design of the character. It could be obvious stuff, it could be more subtle stuff. I'd say a spanner like this, that's a little bit more of an obvious way of saying that they're a TOA of iron. But that engine design on the torso, that's a little bit more subtle. And yeah, mate, it looks so good. But I do think the perfect finishing touch here has to be this mask. Actually, it does resemble qualities of Hukimari's mask a little bit, doesn't it? But I think that's a good thing. Both of those masks, they have this sick, almost battle axe shape to them. And I think that style really tends to complement really large builds and heavier set characters like this one. So hey, if you're stuck on what you're going to do for your next head design, buy yourself a custom mask like this. Plus, it's also a brand new mask, so it's perfect for you to visualize a character and not recycle an older mask that's been used on countless other people. You can get a mask that's specifically suited for them. That's lovely. Our next mock today is called Disgraceful King, and this is built by Astog. Yo, check out this gnarly crown. So it's using the spine piece that comes on Spinax in the wonderful set Maxilos and Spinax. But yet, wrapping it around a head like this, that's so good. The overly spiky design, it really conveys who this character is. They aren't a noble king or a kind king. No, they're someone who's a little bit more evil and sinister, and they probably have some pretty bad intentions. So you got this crown and this really tattered cape and a bunch of tentacles for legs. Yeah, suddenly you got yourself a bit of a nightmare king. They're so creepy. I mean, look at how he's holding that Zamisphere there. That's certainly not a good man. Now, the head underneath this crown, it appears to be the classic G2 Bionicle headpiece. And I also really like the fact that in some of these photos, it's a little bit hard to see the head underneath that crown. The crown really dominates that entire head design. That almost feels symbolic, doesn't it? The weight of the crown, the weight of being a king, it's clouded his mind, and his head is so heavy and he's so lost. He's not who he used to be anymore. And I feel like the face hiding underneath the crown, it kind of represents that. So a little bit of symbolism packed into your mock, it's always good. And this whole mock is wonderful. This creation is called Because the Night, and it's built by Care Creations. So on Instagram, there's a description for this mock, and it says the following. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to us. So the look of this and that quote going with it, this feels more like an art piece than a mock. It tells a bit of a story. I like that. I also like the face design that's being used here. The face simply uses the shoulder pad piece that we see on the set Captain Phasma. Other pieces from this Captain Phasma set are also in use on this mock, like the leg armor as well. But yeah, that shoulder pad piece for the head. Despite it having no noticeable facial features, it does work well for a face. And actually, I like the fact that this is just a completely blank piece. Given how artistic this mock is, it feels fitting. A blank face, it feels like you could see yourself in these characters. And that's often kind of the point of art, isn't it? To see ourselves in the art, to learn something about ourselves, to change ourselves in some fashion. So being able to see yourself in this face, it works. Yeah, no noticeable facial features, it almost feels very deliberate here. But also, that being said, you could easily do this exact same design on something that isn't as artistic as this mock. Because hey, human faces are really hard to build in LEGO and really hard to make them look good. So just having a completely blank face like this, it still gets the point across that it's a humanoid face, but you just don't need to bother with the other stuff. You can kind of just picture it being on there yourself. The simplicity works in its favor. So whether you're building something artistic or you're just building a random humanoid person, maybe consider doing a face design a little bit like this. Now we have Renoid by Renoid. That's right, this is their self-mock. So this is basically just using a Borok head. Huh. You know, whenever I think of a Borok, I think of them in their cute little round ball selves. I always associate this head design with the exact same body and weapons. So to see this head in the context of a larger figure with a larger, more TOA or Titan-sized body, it's a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. I really like this. I guess I just never thought of putting it on a larger body before, which seems a bit outlandish. Of course you can do that. I mean, heck, it makes you think, right? What other sets could you just take that head design and transcribe it onto a totally different body? Maybe something like Kitongu, or the head design on, say, Nivok. Those are both fantastic head designs. Maybe you could just straight up steal those and put them on your own creation. Otherwise, yeah, this mock, fantastic. All the silver armor, it looks great. The wing design too, that is epic. Such a great finishing touch to put that on there. And I do also like this cool black cloth on the waist. There's a lot to love here. Very, very well made and a fantastic head design. Oh, and now LEGO Joey has made Megapixel and Thumbnail. Now this is delightful. So if you're stuck on what your next head design should be, well, all you need to do is find some kind of obscure LEGO piece and you're golden. So Megapixel, the larger mock. It's using this LEGO camera piece. So this is a legitimate camera. LEGO actually made a camera, yeah. So it comes on this LEGO set. Basically, this set allowed you to film your own LEGO stop-motion movie, taking pictures with that camera. And it even came with a guidebook that teaches you how to do stop-motion, and even some stuff from Steven Spielberg was featured in that guide. It was really, really cool. I had it as a kid. I loved it. So yeah, a rad set, and really cool to see this camera piece actually being used on a mock. It's quite rare to see. So the camera had this very long wire that was attached to it, and then it ended in a USB. Now, it seems that most of this wire is just wrapped around this mock, and actually I think that's a great technique. Limbs covered in wires like this, it's got such a distinct look to it that's kind of unlike anything else I've ever seen. And also the idea of covering up this torso with some lovely trans dark blue pieces so that you can just see the wires underneath it. Brilliant. Such a clever way to integrate this really obscure piece into a mock and have it look just right at home. Just genius work. And then we've got Thumbnail, the smaller and cuter one, although they're both kind of adorable. Now, this headpiece is a yellow Duplo camera piece from this specific Spider-Man set. You can see it right here. I love this. Finding a smaller camera piece, a smaller similar piece, right? Maybe you've done that. You've gone and you've built a mock that's using an obscure LEGO piece for its head design. Well, see if you can find a similar piece and then just build a little tinier version of that character or a cute little companion to go with the bigger one. And this little guy is just so full of character. I mean, some of these shots where he's looking at the flower, oh, the best. These might just be the most adorable and most clever creations I've seen all year. I'm obsessed with these. And finally, UTAM04 has built a mock called Serpent. So the head design here, well, there's kind of three head designs. Making the hands into giant snake heads. That's not something you see every day. So we can see that some of these Nuva shoulder pieces have been used to form the forehead on all three of these different faces. Actually, I like the fact that that middle face there, it is a little bit different to the two heads on the hands. It's nice to see that there is still consistency across all of these faces. There are similar pieces being used, but visually they are still different designs. And that's a nice touch because it does differentiate the hands just enough so that you can still tell that they're actually hands and that there's a head in the middle. Now, if you're liking what you're seeing here and you're like, oh, I'd love to learn how to build some parts of this mock, well, you can. Check the links in the description. UTAM04, they have tutorials on their Instagram, but they also have a YouTube channel where you can check out some more videos that feature their creations. So go and check that stuff out. Otherwise, that's it for this head design inspiration episode today. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see your mocks on the show, you can submit them to the submission email that's right there on your screen. It's also in the description below. And also in the description below are links to all the mocks that I featured today. Be sure to check out those mocks in a little bit more detail on their social media and see some of the other stuff that those builders have made. Thank you so much, guys. Love you tons. Happy building and bye for now.